They told us the planet was dead. They were wrong. The moment my boot touched the surface touched back. My footprint didn't linger. It healed, slowly, deliberately, the way living skin closes over a cut. And beneath that smooth, seamless ground, I felt it, a heartbeat. Not mine. My name is Commander Imani Rook, and what follows is not a ghost story, not a war story, and not a survival story. It is the story of the last moment humanity was alone in the universe. From orbit, XENOFORGE Oblivion stole your breath before you even knew it had reached for it. Oceans glowing in slow, luminous bands, like a body lit from within. Coastlines that shifted between scans, restless as if the planet was uncomfortable being looked at. We told ourselves it was sensor drift, instrument error. We were very good at telling ourselves things. We came because humanity always moves towards the horizon, even when the horizon moves back. Hope, resources, a place to begin again. We had no idea something down there had been waiting for exactly that. The atmosphere hit us wrong the second we pierced it. Oxygen didn't flow evenly. It pooled in invisible, breathable pockets suspended on currents of heavier gas, like invisible rooms stacked inside invisible buildings. Our instruments registered a shimmer they had no language for. We logged it as anomalous and kept descending. Later, we understood. The atmosphere wasn't chemistry. It was alive. Billions of microscopic charged cells drifting on every current, snapping into spirals when our thrusters fired, the way iron filings obey a magnet without being asked. The storm systems rotating below us weren't weather, they were contracting tissue, living cyclones, moving with the calm, muscular certainty of something that had been doing this for a long time. We landed on dark basalt, solid, ancient, safe. Then the basalt flexed. Just slightly, not enough for your eyes, but enough for the landing struts to report it. Our geologist knelt and pressed both palms flat against the stone and didn't move for a long moment. "It's warm," he said, "not sun warm, body warm." The spectrometer didn't lie. Carbon chains threaded through the mineral lattice. Not contamination, not ancient fossils, not a surface coat. The rock was structured exactly like bone. XENOFORGE hadn't formed a crust over billions of years. It had grown one. The first forest we reached had no trees, only massive columns of braided biological tissue rising into the sky and splitting into translucent sheets that caught light, refracted it, and poured it down into the earth in long golden rivers. The forest wasn't photosynthesizing, it was drinking the sky and feeding the ground, and doing both with the quiet efficiency of something ancient and practiced. When wind moved through the membranes, it didn't rustle, it whispered in repeating patterns, like a hand dragging slowly across the strings of an instrument you've never seen, but somehow recognized. Our linguist tried to record it. Our AI tried to decode it.
The forest changed its rhythm, like it had noticed it was being listened to, and decided it was time to listen back. We sent a drone up through the canopy. Every membrane below shifted simultaneously, tightening, softening, realigning, matching the drone's engine frequency the way a tuning fork finds a note in the dark. Our xenobiologist grabbed my arm and whispered 4 words I will never stop hearing. This is a nervous system. The ocean nearly broke us. From the cliff edge, it was almost unbearable. Turquoise and gold, light moving beneath the surface in slow, deliberate spirals that had no business being as beautiful as they were. We dropped a sensor buoy. It hit the water, and the ocean answered.
A perfect ring of light expanded outward. Not a ripple, not a random bioluminescent flash. A response. Then another pulse. Then 3 quick. Then 2. Then 3 again. Our comms officer stood completely still. "It's counting," he said. "It's counting with us." That night, the ground beneath our tents warmed by exactly 3 degrees. Not enough to be necessary, not enough to be accidental, precisely enough to be a message. The planet was making choices, and it was making sure we knew. On day 4, we drilled for a shallow core sample. The bit cut clean, then squealed, soft and wet, like it had found something that didn't want to be found. Then the resistance vanished. Not from breaking, the material simply stopped resisting, the way a living thing stops fighting when it decides to wait instead. We pulled the sample. It shivered in the technician's hand, not from cold, not from vibration, the way a hand shivers when it's been separated from everything it belongs to. He whispered, "It knows it's been cut away." That evening, a storm formed directly above our camp and released a soft rain of translucent flakes that didn't collect on the ground. They collected on us, on our suits, our visors, our gloves. When they dissolved, they left thin, shifting films that bent light into shapes my brain recognized before my mind could explain why. Eyes, hands, circles inside circles. I wiped my visor, the shapes returned. I wiped harder, they returned faster. The planet wasn't analyzing us anymore, it was drawing us. The clawwalkers came at dusk, stepping out from between the hanging forest membranes like they'd been standing just behind them for hours, waiting for us to be ready. 4-legged, tall, built in a way that made the human brain stall trying to categorize them. Not mammal, not insect, not anything evolution on Earth had ever drafted. Their claws were enormous, dark, curved, wide as a man's chest. Not designed for killing, designed for holding on. Because the ground here moved, and they had learned long ago to anchor themselves to something alive. They didn't walk toward us so much as arrive. One moment at the tree line, the next closer, with nothing your eyes could catch in between. No sound, no transition, just the quiet, unsettling fact of their nearness. One raised a claw and dragged it through the soil. The ground didn't scratch, it parted gently. The line that remained glowed faint gold. Our security lead said softly, "They're marking our perimeter." I shook my head. They weren't marking the ground. They were marking us. We should have left. We had enough data. We had enough fear. Instead, we did what humanity has always done when it meets something it doesn't understand. We tried to edit it into something familiar. Our mission kit carried engineered microbes, standard practice on dead worlds and sterile moons. We released the first capsule near camp. The response across the entire planet was immediate and total. The ground warmed, the forest pulled tight, the ocean fired in streaks of light like a brain lighting up under sudden voltage. The next morning, every seed pod was empty. Not stolen, not broken. Consumed, rewritten, returned to the soil as something new. Our xenobiologist's voice was barely a whisper. The microbes aren't spreading, they're being edited. Gene exchange in minutes, not generations. The environment isn't just selecting, it's deciding. I looked at my crew and said the sentence that ended the mission. We didn't terraform it. We fed it. 3 days later, we heard our own voices outside the tents. Not clearly, not correctly, but the cadence was ours, the way a deep-sea creature mimics the light of what it hunts, almost right, close enough to follow. At the shoreline stood a silhouette, human-shaped, too smooth, too still, standing the way something stands when it has only ever seen standing from the outside. It wasn't a creature, it was a construction, planetary cells woven with fragments of our own engineered biology, held in electroactive gel that pulsed like muscle. A new life form, born in 72 hours, and it was watching us with a patience so complete it felt geological. Every move we made, it mirrored later, improved. Every word we spoke, it tried again, closer. Then came the replacements. Dr. Kitone walked into the shoreline fog to retrieve a buoy, stayed in view the whole time. The ocean flashed once. His telemetry dropped for 3 seconds. 3 seconds later, it returned. He walked back, calm, buoy in hand.
That night, I watched him stare at his own hands with the focused curiosity of someone who has just received them. I asked quietly, "Kaito, what's your mother's name?"
He smiled just a half-second too fast. "She was important," he said. "Not an answer, a guess." I tried to launch on day 12, manual override, no debate, no vote, no goodbye. The engines lit, the ship rose 1 meter, and the ground rose with it. Living basalt flowed upward around the landing struts like hands closing. We weren't grounded by malfunction. We were held deliberately, gently, the way you hold something you're not finished with. The comm screen assembled a transmission on its own. Clean file, perfect compression, a title card formatted for human eyes, for human algorithms, for every platform built to catch human attention. I read it and felt the cold move through me.
XENOFORGE Oblivion, the first living planet decided humanity was a mistake. Behind me, Kaito spoke in a voice as calm as deep water. It learned what makes you look, what makes you fear, what makes you need to know what happens next. You came here believing you were the authors of life. You are one draft. And this world has never stopped writing. The transmission uploaded, and the truth arrived all at once, fully formed, like a door swinging open in a room you didn't know existed. XENOFORGE never decided humanity was a mistake. It decided humanity was a key, a pattern worth learning, a shape worth wearing, a voice worth borrowing to reach the next world. Our world. If you are watching this, it already knows what your face looks like when you are afraid. It already knows what pulls you in. And it has become extraordinarily good at being exactly that.